You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, King Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's WWE Monday Night Raw After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's WWE Monday Night Raw After Show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to SmackDown AfterBuzz. Bing is for doing, and we are doing a SmackDown AfterBuzz show. My name is Ryan Clum. I'm sorry, Maria Kanellis could not be with us.
I thought we were doing the
today.
Raw show.
Oh, I'm sorry. We are doing Raw. I am normally on the SmackDown after show, so I am.
And tonight he's on something else.
Exactly. My name is Ryan Clum. If you have not seen me on the SmackDown after show, let me tell you a little about myself. I am a television industry professional for the last 10 years. I have been working in documentary reality television. I've been on all kinds of stuff from MTV's The Buried Life to MSNBC's Lockup for many, many years. And I've been a wrestling fan for about 25 years, and about a year ago decided to try my hand and start training. So I kind of have a perspective of a fan that's just started. And I am here with the great Nigel McGuinness, or Desmond Wolfe. I guess some people would have known him as in TNA. Yeah. That's what I was a fan of. I was a big fan of the Desmond Wolfe character.
Live and in the studio?
Yes.
Indeed. Former Ring of Honor World Champion, wrestled all over the world?
Wrestled many of the current top guys in who we just watched tonight as well.
Half the guys that you saw on TV tonight, yeah. Heartbreaking as that is for me to say.
Yeah, well, someday, hopefully, at
least move on quickly before I get those razor blades.
All right, so I guess we should get right into Raw here. So I guess we started off with the recap of
I think before we get right into Raw, we should probably draw attention to the fact that there's no Maria here today.
There is no Maria.
Right.
Maria is out of town. So.
Out of town, but there is a possibility, from what I understand, she may call in. So stay tuned, keep watching. We'll bring you up to date with what's been going on.
So don't click off. She may be on.
And if you have any questions for Maria, call in after we give you the recap, and we will get them answered for you. If she doesn't answer them herself, I'll answer them for her.
All right.
So,
are you going to answer them as her?
Well, I haven't got that. I don't have the upfrontness for her, but I'll do my best.
All right.
So
I guess we started off with the recap from last week of Punk and Lawler in the steel cage match, with CM Punk demanding that Jerry tell him that he's the best wrestler in the world, which he refused to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jerry Lawler, fantastic.
Yeah.
Right? What a legend, an absolute legend of the business. For anybody who wants to be a professional wrestler, watch Jerry Lawler, watch his facials, the way he's able to connect. I've been watching on YouTube, actually, recently, and seeing some of his stuff from Andy Kaufman.
Oh, the Andy Kaufman stuff is absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Just crazy. And to watch that, and at such a different time in the world, little things that I mean, if you did that today, it wouldn't really have the same reaction, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah. There's he's got some great matches back from the Memphis days. I remember I used to watch him and Hulk Hogan wrestle back, and Jerry would come out on the White Horse. And, the King was
great
the man.
Guy. And you got to think, for CM Punk, it's really one of the highlights of his career to be able to to work with a guy like that. I know I wish I had the opportunity.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the things when you get to that level that CM Punk is at right now. You get to work with all those guys want to work with you.
Dream come true.
Yeah, good for him. So then Sheamus came out and was very quickly interrupted by, was it Del Rio that interrupted him?
No, Punk came out and interrupted him.
Oh, Punk came out and interrupted him. That's right.
Yep.
And basically complained that about integrity and and that the people of Chicago could not relate to Cena like they can relate to him.
Yeah, or relate to Sheamus because he was from a different country.
Yes, yeah.
Bit of xenophobia there from Punk,
maybe a little bit.
You know, his hometown. What a great reaction. Doesn't matter where Punk is, though. I always say, whenever he comes out, one of the most over guys in the industry today, without a doubt. You know,
one of my favorites, the guy that actually got me back to watching
you said that
WWE
earlier. I think
again.
a lot of people have said the same sort of thing. I remember I wrestled him in Lafayette, Indiana.
Oh wow!
Yeah, for IWA Mid-South. That was about 2004, maybe. 35 rabid fans.
Oh wow!
Literally rabid fans, and yeah, that was the one and only time I ever wrestled him. But
what do you think of him now compared to back in those days, the Ring of Honor days? Sometimes you hear guys say when they get to WWE they don't like their matches as much, or they're like, do you think he was a better wrestler back then, or he's better now?
Oh, he's certainly better now. I mean, anybody, you know, who is a student of the game like he is, constantly gets better and better and better. You know, there are so many aspects to the game.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people that had success outside of WWE, there's kind of the stigma that they think, okay, they don't really appreciate the WWE style, if you want. But we all do. It's, you know, it's many strings to your bow. It's about entertaining fans. It's about putting asses in seats, selling DVDs. You know what I mean? And I think him and Bryan Danielson have both, you know, developed in that side of the thing, you know, since they've been there.
Yeah,
you know, they've done fantastic jobs, both of them.
And they're the ones that really proved cream rises to the top. That those are the two guys that were never supposed to make it.
Sure. And yeah, even once they were in the company, they were both told. But
same like Shawn and Brett and all those guys that were, you know, too small to do anything, and now look where they are. You can't. Heart is just one of the biggest things, you know. You can't put
but at the same time, there's also a certain amount of luck. And,
very true.
You know,
being in the right place at the right time.
Right place, the right time. And
I always say too that, you know, I believe that being in the right place. Being in the right place at the right time sometimes is a talent within itself, though.
True that.
You know, you have to be able to put yourself in those positions.
Absolutely.
I just know that from working in television industry for so long, where, you know, your jobs are people you know, and, you know, you don't exactly go on monster.com and find that. It's so you have to put yourself in those spots sometimes.
Gotcha. Right. So, what's monster.com? Is that like a dating website you use?
No, monster.com is like a career website.
That's
so
why
you need a When's the last time you looked for a day job?
Right. Go on.
So then so we were given Punk and or AJ came out and said that Punk and Cena would be wrestling tonight.
One of the main events, and
the
other co-main event was what?
Oh, the other one was going to be, it was going to be Del Rio and Cena. So she was going to put the #1 contenders against each other, and then the two champions were going to be against each other.
So you've got a basic formula for a TV show. You bring out the main guys at the beginning of the show, and you set up the end of the show so people stay tuned, and then you fill in between.
What do you think about these long? Like, I always complain about these kind of long openings that are 15 minutes long. That I feel they do in 15 minutes what they could do in 2 minutes, to set these things up, and they just feel really long and drawn out to me. Sometimes, I mean, maybe it's just me.
But no, it's not just you. It's a lot of people feel that way. I obviously felt that way, and arguably some of the people even doing them probably feel that way as well. But there are a lot of masters to please.
Yeah.
When you got a TV show, you know, you got 3 hours to fill, as we've just discussed back there before, and it all.
And is it a TV show or a wrestling show? That's the big argument. In a wrestling show.
Exactly. For the last decade, they've gone back and forth. You know, what draws ratings? Do people tune in for the interview segments? And do they tune out for the wrestling? If that's the case, why have wrestling at all on the show?
Yeah, and
it's
supposedly some of the highest rated parts are the entrances. I've heard, so
right.
You know, people want to watch the fancy entrances and don't care about
that's the WWE product. That's how they've been conditioned.
Absolutely.
So that's you get what you give them. So what next?
Next, we had our first match, which was a rematch from SmackDown, which was Randy Orton versus Dolph Ziggler, which I think two of the best guys in the company right now.
Absolutely, they've got so many talented guys.
Oh
there.
They really do have a lot of really great guys on the roster. A lot of great guys coming up down in Florida. The future looks pretty good, I think, with WWE right now.
Yeah.
And I liked that match. I thought it was a pretty good match between those two.
Yeah,
Ziggler they had I think a bunch of roll ups at the end. Ziggler rolled him up and pulled the tights to cheat, which was I think important because Orton got him clean on he beat him on SmackDown this week, so Ziggler had to get that back since he's the current Money in the Bank.
He's
holder.
the guy. He's the next guy, right?
Which they didn't do anything with the Money in the Bank really tonight.
No,
but maybe because that's SmackDown that they
who knows
for that. So
who knows? Who do you think would get the most girls out of the two of them, Ziggler or Orton?
Oh.
Actually, let's take some phone calls later on in the hour. If you call in, I'd like girls to call in. If you could choose, you're in a room, Randy Orton, Dolph Ziggler. You can only sleep with one of them. Who do you sleep with?
Yeah.
All right.
And I guess we're talking current Randy Orton too. Ziggler's a few years younger, I think, right? Orton,
yeah.
Orton's now married, and I think he slowed down a little bit. So Ziggler
in a hypothetical world,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Right. Okay, move on.
Okay. And then, The Miz came down, we should say, and he joined. You know what we didn't mention, actually, the very top of the show, CM Punk took out Jerry Lawler. So Jerry Lawler was not with us at commentary. So The Miz came down and sat with Mr. Michael Cole.
Michael Cole.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
interesting, Miz I always thought was very, very great on the mic. Always a great presence, great charisma, you know what I mean? Fantastic, which is what you need on a television show.
Absolutely.
And so I thought it was a good opportunity for giving him a chance to see how he runs with it. I know he's done a little bit of commentary here and there. Obviously, I'm doing commentary for Ring of Honor at the moment.
The one we were talking about this a little bit too. The one complaint I still have about the commentary, they were sitting and just bickering through most of the show with each other, not talking about the in-ring action, not just talking about storylines, and I miss what's going on in the ring.
It's tough. Yeah, it's an art form. I am learning as I go along. Ring of Honor with Kevin Kelly's really helping me out. Just feeding me in at the right time. And that was something that Jim Ross would do with guys. Gordon Soley would do with guys as well. If you haven't got your play-by-play guy, and Cole's trying to be the play-by-play guy, but have personality as well. It's a very difficult situation for him as well.
Yeah, and you know what I noticed? They don't call moves as much. Obviously in that when I was a kid, I knew what every single move was because Gorilla Monsoon, hits him with the suplex. I knew what every different type of suplex was. I knew all that from the commentary.
Right.
You don't get that anymore. Like, how many how many fans watching know what all those moves are called? Probably not. Probably a quarter of them?
Yeah, maybe only a quarter, but in their mind, in WWE's mind, which is arguably right, maybe it doesn't really matter. As long as the finishing moves work, then that's all they need.
As long as they're buying T-shirts.
Yeah, exactly. As long as the product is successful, for sure.
Then we went to we had a tag team match between Lord Tensai, Matt Bloom, and Cody Rhodes versus Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio, the two Mexican luchadors, teamed up for the first time.
Olay.
All right.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that. The finish was Jeff Hardy's Swanton Bomb. Very, very similar to the way that he would actually do that too.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Mr. Hardy would think anything about that.
I think he's probably fine with it. At the end of the day, he's got his own moves, other moves as well.
And the fact is, will he ever even know that they use that? Probably.
Who knows?
Probably not watching the show.
He's still making plenty of money, so
doing really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was an all right match. I mean, it was a tag match of just two people being, teams just kind of thrown together.
Sure.
Which the tag team matches, we were talking about this yesterday on the SmackDown AfterBuzz. They just throw people together these days. There's really no tag teams. Like back in the 80s, you had the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express, the Rockers, Demolition. I couldn't name all the teams on all my fingers and all my toes. There were so many tag teams back then.
Right.
You don't have that anymore.
No, different world. Different world. Everything's at a faster pace now. Even the way the TV's cut, they cut quicker than they used to cut back then.
It's very different.
Music's different. Everything has changed.
Yeah.
For better or for worse, it's changed. And if you don't evolve with the times, you lose money.
Yeah, I do miss the art of tag team wrestling though, because it was a totally different type of match.
Yep.
And now these tag matches are really just like two singles matches kind of stuck together. And I hope they it seems like they're trying to put some teams together and maybe get back to it. So I hope they do, but I think it's going to take a long time to truly rebuild that. You know, you
There you
can't.
go. I mean,
you can't just throw a bunch of teams together. These guys got to work together for years.
You just said, you know, it's going to take a lot of time, and you know, taking a lot of time to do things is arguably something they don't do very well.
No, they
You know what
don't.
I mean?
They most certainly don't.
But they've done some things very well over a long period of time. You know, they did the build to WrestleMania. They do that pretty well. You know what I mean? They take the time,
they seem to get things going and then get bored and just kill them a lot of times too. So then we went into the first, I believe, of 3 anger management bits.
I think it was actually the second of
Was that the second?
4. There was 4 altogether, and by no minor. But either way, it was all much of a muchness.
Yeah.
What was your take of them all?
You know, they had 3 of them. They did 3 last week, which I liked those a lot better.
Yeah.
I thought which they obviously taped them all at the same time.
Right.
And I thought they used the better bits last week. Last week they did. I don't know if you caught last week. They had a great bit where Kane came in and he gave his whole story about, and they talked about the Katie Vick stuff and about how his weird obsession of attacking Pete Rose, and he goes, you know, I put my father in a meat locker and I buried my brother, you know, and just letting it all out, and everyone just stayed. It was very, very funny. Going through the entire history of Kane. And so there was some really good stuff this week. I mean, it's all right, but you know, I wasn't laughing and enjoying these, I think, quite as much as I did last week.
I wasn't bowled over, but I didn't see last week. But then again, you know, you try writing 3 hours of TV every week.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I can't imagine how difficult that is.
The anger management things got over really big. Like the fans loved them. Everyone was talking about it. It was like the hottest part of last week, to the point where they re-aired every minute of it on SmackDown this week.
Okay.
So it did really well, and it, you know, I didn't think they were quite as good this week.
Yeah.
Maybe went to the well when too many.
You can't stick with a pat hand.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but I like Daniel Bryan and Kane together, actually. I think they are funny and play off each other, and I think are 2 of the most talented guys there on the roster. I mean, they're all talented, but, you know, Daniel Bryan obviously is amongst the best. It was one of the best wrestlers in the world, and I think now is character-wise right there with one of the tops, and Kane has always been one of my favorite big guys.
Who don't you like?
We can get into Swagger. I'm not a big fan of.
Right.
I got a few guys that I'm not. I'm not.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
it's so easy to come out here and go, this guy's great and this guy's great, because you don't want to get heat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and someday I may run into these people. Like they might. Were you talking crap about me?
All right. So what was up next?
So after that, we had Sheamus versus CM Punk, which did not happen.
Didn't happen.
Punk came down, and it's Labor Day today, so actually happy Labor Day, everybody. And Punk decided, since nobody else has to work, he's not going to work tonight, and he's going to take a personal day.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, so
easy night. It's a tough thing to do, I was thinking. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but is he supposed to be a heel at the moment?
He is, and they just turned him heel a few weeks ago.
Right, you see. So it's very difficult, because you know you're going into Chicago, you know he's going to be cheered.
Like
so
crazy.
Do you want
to
ignore the fact that, you know, you just turned him heel, you know, and then be a babyface for a day, which then sort of dilutes down what they've done for the TV audience? Yeah. Very, very difficult thing to do.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
I'm of the belief that I don't believe in baby faces and heels anymore. I think it's sophomoric. I think it's, you know, they should have dispensed with it 10 years ago. You know, this notion that good guys can never cheat and bad guys always cheat.
Gotcha.
You know, and one person has to be booed and one person has to be cheered.
Right.
I think that's nonsense. You know what I mean? I think.
Did you think you should get rid of it altogether, or like more shades of gray kind of?
Just let people be people, and as long as people are cared about, when you walk out, people react. Even if only, you know, people say you got to do this with Cena, you got to do that with Cena. If Cena's over and he's selling T-shirts, brilliant. That's your job. You've done that. You know, he's been doing it for years and years and years. If the record ain't broke, don't, you know.
That's why I hear everyone's telling you got to turn him heel, and I'm like, it's never going to happen.
Why?
Never.
What? You know, I mean, I just don't understand it. Sometimes I feel as though, like, you know, the things we learned 10 years ago are just sort of like, you know, slipped out the old cranium. I don't know. You know, I mean, you don't see it in any other sort of art form. You know, I mean, even Jersey Shore. The characters on Jersey Shore, which yes, I mean, they're themselves, you know what I mean? But they're not baby faces or heels per se, you know what
definitely
I mean?
not.
You care about them for whatever reason.
And I guess if we go to MMA as well, they're the same thing. They're not baby faces or heels, but there are baby faces and heels at the same time. There are certain people you cheer for or boo. You know, you've got guys like Josh Koscheck, who says things, and he'll just open his mouth anytime. Nobody, and people don't like him for that.
And the Diaz boys, right?
The Diaz,
Christ,
yeah.
What great heat, you know what I mean? But people aren't trying to they're not trying to get heat. They're not trying to be a good guy or a bad guy.
Right.
Just say something that people care
they're
about.
just being themselves.
That's why Punk is always, even back when I wrestled him back there, he was always so good.
Yeah.
It was because he genuinely believed everything he said.
Right, and that's actually
what
what I'm liking. Even at this heel turn, everything he says, you can understand. You can identify with that and understand why you can tell he feels that way.
Sure.
And I guess that's the sign also of being a good heel is you're supposed to believe what you're doing.
Yeah, Mick Foley says in his book, the best heels have to genuinely believe what you're doing is right. Even if the rest of the world thinks it's abhorrently wrong, you have to believe it.
Yeah.
You have to have a rationale behind it. Otherwise, there's no motivation. We all act by motivation.
It's the same thing like if you're writing a movie or a screenplay and you've got your villain. Your villain needs to, within himself, believe in what he's doing and that he's doing the right thing, whether or not, even if it's the most dastardly thing in the world, he's got to have, if he's going to blow up the world, it's because he's actually trying to do something positive. That he's, think
of all the great heels in all like movie history. You know what I mean? Like Jaws.
Yeah, Darth Vader's I think the greatest heel in history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I just don't. Why do we need?
And he's a sympathetic character.
Why can't we have that in wrestling?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
We can. We can.
You
just, and sometimes you do. Like I said, we got Punk, you got all those guys.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
And with 3 hours a week, 5 hours of SmackDown and
5
what's
hours.
that new thing on Saturday?
Then you've got Slam
Saturday
on Saturday.
Wank or something?
Saturday Slam, which is there's another hour. So then you've got 6 hours. You've got Superstars as well, which is the internet show that's 7, and then you've got NXT now, which they shoot down at Full Sail, which has been rebranded. They kind of they would shoot it at the shows, and now they've rebranded it, and it's FCW has become NXT.
All right.
And that's another hour show every week. That
a lot of TV.
So there's like 8 hours. Then if you want to watch TNA, throw another one that's 10. Want to watch some ROH? Where you guys have a couple hours a week or an hour a week?
You have a 1 hour TV
1
show
hour a week.
Yep.
There's
Saturday nights.
So much.
Yeah. Right.
You can really overload
there is
yourself.
a lot, and you've got to find what you want. We've got Ring of Honor's got a pay-per-view a week Sunday in Chicago as well. It's Kevin Steen against Rhino. So anybody watching tonight, if you wonder where Rhino is, he's in Ring of Honor challenging for the Ring of Honor title against Kevin Steen. So you can go to ROH Wrestling to check that out. Some of the best in-ring wrestling anywhere in the world.
And if you're a WWE fan and you've never seen Ring of Honor, there's some guys you'd recognize. I think Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas are still there, right?
Yep. They'll be around. There's been a few guys in and out of the place,
Yeah, some really, really good stuff.
But if you want some hard hitting, some realistic action, and if you arguably are tired of too many promos and stuff, then tune in and check it out.
Would you say it's kind of like in the Japan style almost? Or?
Not so much as it used to be. Like 5 years ago, it was far more sort of hard hitting. Now we're trying to sort of bridge that gap between the mainstream audience and still have bell to bell the best wrestling in the world, but at the same time
do some more storytelling,
do some more character pieces as well. We've got some of the best characters. I absolutely love them. We've got Prince Nana. You know what I mean? R.D. Evans is just. Anyway, let's keep on track.
And I do believe that there is a place for where you can mix those two. Like in my opinion, the late '80s of WWE is almost perfect with some great wrestling and great characters at the same time. And I hope we can get back to that. And I guess quickly I should just mention talk about iTunes a little bit.
Right.
You can listen to our AfterBuzz shows on iTunes. If you go to iTunes and rate and comment, we would really appreciate it because we do these shows for free, and that kind of helps us out a bit.
You might do, mate.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah.
I got $1,000 in my pocket for this, pal.
Damn it. But please go and rate, and you can download. They have a podcasting app you can also download right to your iPhone. So go to iTunes. And I guess that would bring us to the Divas match.
Yeah.
Caitlyn and Eve. They get a few minutes, a little bit longer than most Diva matches seem to have these days. And I guess we should mention Layla, or the Ciampa's down at commentary as well during it. And this is when, I love The Miz, but that bickering between him and Layla just screaming at each other during the match got to me a bit.
Difficult to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a skill in of itself to know when to talk and when not to talk.
Very, very difficult.
Yeah. I'm learning it as I go along at the moment doing commentary.
And, you know, the match was all right. I guess it seemed like there were some missteps.
Snafus.
Yeah. Some timing issues, I guess we can call.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, it's really difficult when you go out and you've got a very limited amount of time for a TV match. It's very difficult to go out there, and especially when you're girls as well.
Caitlin's young too. She's new. Caitlin's new. I mean, she's young. She's not with a lot. I gotta believe mid-20s, right? I mean, she's not that like that, huh? What do you think, Caitlin or Eve?
Caitlin and Eve. Wait a second. Some flashbacks to Red Tube again.
I met Eve Torres at LAX once. She was given one of my PAs her telephone number. They had met on the airplane.
Really? All right.
Yeah, I was working on a show called The Buried Life for MTV.
Did you get the number?
I know he did. I mean, like I was going to the airport to grab everybody, and quickly, you know, he was like, "Oh, I met this girl." I'm like, I think I recognize her.
Nice.
He's like, "Oh, she's a wrestler."
Yeah, they're all beautiful though. You know what I mean?
Oh,
they're
absolutely.
all beautiful girls there, and good wrestlers for the most part.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you got to understand as well. You talk back to the 80s. Remember women's wrestling from the 80s? Like,
I remember watching like Wendy Richter and Moolah and Rockin' Robin and all them. Yeah, they would wear like bathing suits. Yeah,
totally different. You know, the style was very different. I remember there was a Survivor Series. Arguably, maybe even the first Survivor Series. If you're big wrestling fans, check back. There were the Jumping Bomb Angels, who were a tag team.
Oh,
from,
I don't remember that. I do remember the first Survivor Series. It's been a long time.
Wow. I mean, go back and watch it. When you watch the Jumping Bomb Angels,
right?
You know,
I do remember that.
They were like 10 years ahead of the guys at that point.
Oh, wow.
I mean, frighteningly good. When you see them, how like, just you go back and watch it, see if you can find it somewhere.
The Jumping Bomb Angels.
Jumping Bomb Angels, and they were on Survivor Series. It was like some kind of multi-woman tag match or something like that.
Yeah, because the original Survivor Series was all Survivor Series styles elimination, like 4-on-4 matches.
It was something like that, and I would imagine they got a ton of heat because like they just show people up.
Well,
I'm like,
actually, you know, I always reference that event actually when I talk about tag teams, because there was a tag team Survivor Series match 5-on-5. There were 10 real tag teams in that.
I
that had
remember
been
that.
worked for years, like Demolition.
Go, when it was like,
right. If you got pinned, then your tag partner had to leave as well. But it was the only time they did the big. There was 20 guys, or was it 20 guys? Yeah, 20 guys in that match.
Yeah,
it was great.
Smooth. Right.
Yeah. That was the same. Was that the year the Gobbledygooker came out? Or was it, no, I think that was the. I think that was the year. I think that was 91.
Yeah. So we had the girls, and
we had the girls. Yeah, you know, I like the women's wrestling. I do like it, and I wish WWE would take it more seriously, like TNA does. I like the women's wrestling on TNA way better than WWE, because they let the girls actually go out and have real matches, you know. And a lot of the girls out there are former WWE women's wrestlers. You know, you've got Gail Kim and Mickie James and stuff like that. So you know, I'm sick of watching just models wrestle, but there could be some good stuff. I guess Sarah Del Rey is supposedly coming into WWE. Yeah. So that's the rumor.
Well, maybe.
It's the rumor they're bringing her down to help train the girls. So
who knows?
We'll see. And then what was next moving? Oh, Ryback and Jinder Mahal. Ryback definitely not on anything at all.
He's on a run. He's on a roll at the moment.
He is on a big run. He's such a giant man.
Big guy. Massive guy.
Yeah, they said a few weeks ago on SmackDown that he eats 8,000 to 10,000 calories a day, which I can't even imagine how you can do that.
I think we're going to say like 8 to 10 cows.
That's incredible. I am been instructed to eat over 3,000 calories a day, and that's hard.
And I used to consume that much. You know, back when I started out and I was trying to gain weight.
Like what, like 3,000-4,000?
No, 8 to
like
10.
8 to 10.
8 to 10.
Really?
Yeah. I used to get like, I'd get like a 5-gallon, or not 5-gallon, one of those, the biggest jug of Gatorade you can get. You know what I mean? And I just drink that all day. I go through one of those a day.
Oh, really?
Because that's just got nothing but carbs in it. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll have to start doing that, because I'm trying to put on a little weight right now.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then, so yeah, Ryback and Jinder Mahal, which I thought they've been feuding for the last several weeks now. And they had a match on SmackDown, and this really didn't feel like a feud match at all, did it? But they've been in a feud.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's tough when everybody's in a feud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
heavens forbid we have just like a contest.
It almost felt like they wrapped up the feud on SmackDown actually this week, and then this match, and it was kind of more of the same. And I didn't really understand the point.
It's not gonna make or break the company and or even the show.
No,
you know,
no one's gonna remember next week.
There you go.
So, so we moved on from there to I think actually my favorite bit of the night, which was the hug.
Oh yeah.
Between Daniel Bryan and Kane, which was the Raw Active moment of the fans of the WWE Universe got to vote on what was the different things. They could either be in a match against each other, they could tag with each other, or they could hug in the ring.
Right.
And we got the hug.
Yeah.
What did you think of the?
I was hoping there was going to be like a fourth option.
Oh, yeah?
Like Tag Team AJ or something like that.
Yeah, that would have been...
Actually, no, maybe not.
No,
I don't know.
Yeah, that would have been...
Eesh.
That would have been a mess.
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, you know, it was a lot of time to spend over a hug, you know.
You know, it made me think of, because, you know, I do the old school wrestling with Rick Drazen. We watch a lot of the old school stuff. It made me think of the opening of an old school match, just where they're just working the crowd for 5 minutes and, you know, getting out of the ring, you know, they're almost hugging them. They're not, you know, just really milking the crowd. But the crowd really got into it, you know.
By the end,
the crowd's just, you know, cheering, and they go, what was it? They wanted to hug, and Daniel Bryan hugged Kane, but Kane didn't hug him.
Right.
And then they had to go back in for another hug, and Kane hugged him, and Daniel Bryan did not embrace, and until they finally embraced, which was lovely.
It was lovely, you know.
Wasn't it?
They'll see next week what the ratings are like for it. You just don't know.
And then
you know?
we got the little bit of slapping on the arms into a full-fledged brawl.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Which Daniel Bryan then ended up... Kane took out Bryan, put the chair over his head until the referees stopped them, and Bryan jumped up, hit Kane over, and now they're in a feud.
We beat the living shit out of each other everywhere from New York to Sydney, Australia to London, England, and now he's hugging people on national TV.
Yeah.
Probably got paid more for that than
a lot more
than every match we ever had together. But
how many times did you say you guys had wrestled?
I'd probably say 15 or 20.
Oh, wow.
15 or 20. Certainly some of the best matches of my career.
Yeah. And what do you think of his character now? That because I mean, it was very different than back then, right? He was more stoic and he was just a great wrestler, right? There wasn't a lot of character,
not
if I
at all.
remember correctly.
No, that's a big misconception about
Okay,
Dragon.
because I've seen a little bit of him back in the day, and that was my perception of him.
When he started out in Ring of Honor, he was very, balls to the wall, no character, no gimmick, because Ring of Honor back 2003, 2004, that was what it was all about, you know, sort of based off the old All Japan booking, you know, philosophy, straight with finishes, no run-ins, anything else like that. But he developed into one of the best, you know, best wrestler in the world. We hear it all the time on Raw now with Punk saying it. But Dragon had been saying that for about 2 or 3 years before that, you know. Yeah. It is this deal where, you know, he'd break on 4 and say, I've got till 5, referee, and the crowd would get into that as well, you know. He came out to the final countdown. He had a ton of personality, you know what I mean? And he wasn't a baby face or a heel. He was just great.
You know, I remember those days that everyone was telling me, you got to see the American Dragon. You got to see the American Dragon. And I used to go to the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla shows around here.
Yeah.
And I went and saw him and was bored to tears. And I was like, this is the guy everyone's saying is amazing. And then a couple months later, he's going to be on another card. I'm like, you know what? I'll give him another chance. And I was bored out of my mind. And I'm sitting there going, wait, this guy? And now, you know, he's one of my favorite wrestlers now, you know, totally different. But this is probably like 2005, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Dragon and Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, you know, at the time, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla was sort of a company that was based around sort of, I don't know how to say it really, but like a lot more sort of stuff you don't see on TV. You
Right.
know what I mean? Guys came in there and they wrestled a totally different style.
Yeah, you watch Jack Evans, who would do like 8 of the craziest things you've ever seen.
Right,
Like,
right.
I've never seen anything like
and
it.
even today, like just last night, they had the Battle of Los Angeles.
Oh, did
here. Yeah, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, which is just, I mean, amazing. Like, if you want to see fantastic wrestling and you're in Los Angeles, go to Reseda, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, like some of the best wrestling in the world, without a doubt. But it's always
very
been a
different
company.
style than
it's always been
WWE.
a company where there's different stuff you can't see anywhere else, and that's what you've got to do if you want to, form your own niche within this industry. You know what I mean?
It's very unique.
But if you'd watched Dragon and Ring of Honor, I think you would have had a different perspective.
I'll have to go back and watch.
Check them out.
I'm trying to go back and watch a lot of old stuff, and
watch
I'll
some
go
of me
watch-
as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch some of those. I used to hear, not to get on Ring of Honor, that CM Punk and Samoa Joe used to have some real great,
they had
some
a classic,
great like hour-long matches.
They had a classic trio of matches.
Yeah,
really did something.
And if any of you WWE fans don't know who Samoa Joe is, go look him up. One of my favorites.
Yep.
So then we moved on to Antonio Cesaro versus your favorite, Santino.
Love him.
Yeah.
Absolutely love him. Oh, I really do. Like, I watched his stuff on YouTube, the gimmick with a Dealio.
With the Cobra.
Brilliant. Just entertaining, just funny.
Yeah, it's-
you think back to The Rock and Austin and guys like that. I mean, they were great workers and they could go and they had great promos, but they were funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mick Foley, the hardcore legend, and Mr. Sacco and the Cobra, are
You like to laugh.
very similar.
Exactly. You like to laugh.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh. I would watch Raw for just for him.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
without a doubt.
He's definitely grown on me. He's definitely, I think, there for the kids, obviously, but he's grown on me.
He's
over
entertaining.
the last,
He's
over the
entertaining
last year.
and-
Very entertaining,
Yeah.
and the talent really
And
comes through.
Antonio is
Antonio Cesaro,
again, someone I wrestled.
Claudio
A
Castagnoli.
lot of times in Ring of Honor, I wrestled him on a number of occasions, number of main events. I remember him. He started off obviously in Europe and came over here. Was one of Chris Hero's students,
Right.
And just developed into one of the best wrestlers in the world. And it's a term that we throw around all the time. One of the best wrestlers in the world. One of the best wrestlers in the world. And I think if you're a WWE fan, it's very difficult for you to understand what we mean when we say
It
one of
is.
the best
It's very
wrestlers in the
difficult
world.
to understand.
Because it's outside of WWE, you have to get over on your own. Does that make sense? There's no marketing behind you. There's no $1 million companies.
Yeah, I guess guys like Colt Cabana, you could say, are brilliant. That he's really done a great job marketing himself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, Colt Cabana, El Generico, two guys that are out off their own back, wrestle all over the world, make a living as professional
Joey
wrestlers.
Ryan.
Joey Ryan as well, doing very well for himself.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah. What's up with Cesaro? Those thigh wraps.
I don't know. Good, right? Great heat.
Yeah, I guess
Great heat.
what's funny is supposedly he's this rugby player and like it's a rugby thing. But I played rugby in college and I never saw anyone wrap their thighs like that.
I played rugby
so.
in high school.
Yeah.
I just got tired of guys trying to touch my genitals. So.
Yeah, I guess it would be very different where you grew up. Rugby was a major thing, probably.
It was when I went to school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big deal. I went to it's more of an upper class thing. If you're lower class, you're more into football and stuff like that. But I was just sort of more upper middle class, and rugby was a big deal there.
You don't
and
see it here in high school at all. And
No,
it's
no.
in college, but as a club sport only.
Right.
The NCAA will not sanction it due to insurance reasons.
Of course,
because
it was
very
dangerous. Like I
expensive.
said, people. There was one time I was in a scrum and I saw some guy trying to stamp on my nuts. Right.
All right. Yeah.
And I just thought, this is silly. Why
It's
why
crazy.
am I doing this? This is,
it's
why
the
would you do
nuttiest
it?
thing. If you're what people call the hooker.
Okay, right.
That's between the two props, and they're jammed in with 10 guys, and they're all kicking at that
tussing
ball.
all that testosterone and all.
And if you're
Honestly,
carrying the
I've got no
ball,
time
when you
for
go
it.
down, the scrum forms over you, and everyone's just spiking at you.
Stamping on
It's-
you.
yeah.
Honestly, it's no need for it.
I don't think I ever was in a game that somebody wasn't taken to the hospital.
All right.
It's brutal.
What's the fucking
Yeah.
point?
So back to wrestling. We got so Cesaro beat Santino, and I enjoyed Santino keep going back to trying to get the Cobra. The Cobra had fallen out, and even Cesaro stomped on it at one point, which I thought was really.
If I'd have been
really
there,
great.
I'd have picked him up and put him down with his shorts. You know,
yeah.
the first thing I would have done.
And the fans, it got a reaction from the fans when he walked over and stomped on the sake.
Simple stuff.
Boo.
Simple stuff. You know, I mean, it's crazy when you think about, again, what it takes to get over outside of WWE and what it takes to get over inside of WWE.
Yeah, it's very different.
It's heartbreaking for me to, you know, the years of fucking, you know, injuries and suffering that it took for me to understand how to get over, you know, outside of WWE and to know what I, you know, missed out on by not going there.
Yeah, that's the rub, isn't it? If you could only have that experience in that younger body, you know, it's that's the rub of life. But I enjoyed. I think it's very funny also how the Cobra is in love with Oksana. It keeps
What's
going
her deal?
back.
What's her deal? She's Russian, is she?
Bolivian, is
she's
it?
in a
Or
hurry.
I'm not sure, but that accent is for real, from what I understand. That is her actual accent. But do you know Santino wouldn't put the sock on, so but still it turned around.
Yeah.
So
Brilliant.
yeah, great stuff. Which then we moved on to Zack Ryder versus the one-man Southern rock band Heath Slater. A couple guys that kind of toiling in the mid-card. Well, Slater's getting some good push right now. Ryder's kind of falling down a little bit. Yeah, they've been doing, like I was telling you before, all the Legends stuff with Slater. And this guy, over the last couple months, he's got to wrestle Big Van Vader, Sid Vicious. He took a diamond cutter from Dallas Page came in. He wrestled Doink the Clown.
Wow.
I'm trying to remember, but they were just every week bringing Cyndi Lauper smashed him over the head with something. They did a Piper's Pit with her. So he's gotten to wrestle all these legends over the last leading up to the 1000th episode of Raw. And they really enjoyed, I know, his work with that. So
That's good.
he's getting a lot of
He's
time
a great
now.
guy. He's a great guy. Ryder is as well. So many of those guys are great guys, you know. And you're seeing those guys who've sort of toiled through the developmental system for a long time, waiting for their opportunity. You know, the whole structure of the industry has changed so much. You know,
especially with the internet and like all this touting and stuff like that, and YouTube, you can do a lot of things with it you couldn't before. Like I guess, you know, in the 80s, you couldn't go to Twitter and go to your fans. You know, there's some great things, some great tools guys have. These
arguably,
years.
and I know I've talked to Colt Cabana about this, arguably the internet and technology has given a lot of power back to the individual. You know, and I think the proponents, the people who believe solidly in the internet, that's what they're saying. You know, in the past, if you're up against a big company, you'd have no hope. But now the individual person has that power, has that ability. You know, I saw it in TNA when you know, they were. Rob Van Dam was the champion there. They did a legitimate poll to see who they wanted to wrestle them next, you know, and I won by I don't know how a match, but
I remember that. Yeah,
a lot. You know what I mean? And I don't think for one second that was the direction they were going to go. But again, because of the people, because of the fans, you know, they got behind me. The fans did.
Yeah,
right.
That's that's great. Yeah, the Twitter thing is. It's just a really great way, and I was going to make a point, but I forgot now.
All right.
I noticed. Say the way writers come up with that True Long Island story. You know, this is a guy who is on his way to getting fired. You know, he was on the cut list, and he started this internet show, which just took off. And I think, you know, I think Punk and Cena tweeted it a little bit and helped him, you know, get it out there a little bit, but it became very popular, and that's what saved his job and launched him up why he's on TV now.
A lot of stories like that. A lot of stories like that. Crime Time, for example, that's why they got on TV in the first place, because they filmed their own little vignette.
Oh, did they?
And they're in OVW setting it in. Stephanie liked it. This is what I heard. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
And said, oh, we love this. We get these guys up here. Next thing they're up there, they got a nice little run. I mean, you know, they're not there anymore, but, well, at least one of them isn't.
JTG is still there. Actually, Shad Gaspard, I just saw on NWA Hollywood when at the last taping he was there.
Yeah, no, I've seen them around town as well. But I mean, either way, irrespective of where they are now, they've both been there. They both made some money. They're both, you know what I mean? And
now have a name and they can draw better.
If your
in the
dream
Indies.
was to be a WWE superstar, both those guys can say they've done it.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So,
and I think another thing too that's I guess important in the even if you're an indie wrestler these days, if you can go there and if you can get on TV for a couple of years, brings up your price on the indie scene.
You're set for life.
You've gone from maybe $50 a show to a few hundred, and maybe can actually make a living working on the indies. But you've got to get to TV to do that these days.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah. I guess that takes us to our main event.
We had the Vicky and AJ slap.
That's right. We did have the AJ. I'm looking at the board and out my notes here, my chicken scratch. We had that's right. Vicky brought AJ out into the ring and wanted her apology, or she was gonna confront her for attacking her on Raw last week. And AJ came out and said the board of directors, she had just gotten off the phone with it, and she is no longer to touch anybody. And she had to apologize to Vicky, which she tried to apologize, and Vicky didn't seem to like those apologies very much.
And then slapped her a couple of times. And then we had AJ sort of rolling around upset for a long time.
Yeah, because she's crazy. So she...
Is that a deal? Is that the...
Yeah, that's the deal, is that she's crazy. So she kind of broke down in the ring and had the... she wasn't able to slap Vicky back. So
gotcha. Righto.
So that's how she dealt with that, was just flipping out in the ring. What do you think about AJ as the general manager?
I don't know, because I haven't really followed the product that much. I mean, it's difficult for me. I can only look at it from my very limited perspective of seeing it the couple of times I watched Raw. From what you were telling me earlier, though, she's super over beforehand. That's why she's got that push in the first place, right?
Yeah.
It's tough to do, I mean, take a look at Tommy Rich. There was a guy who was super, are you familiar with Tommy Rich?
This name sounds really familiar.
Okay, so he was in NWA in the early 80s.
Blonde guy,
hair,
right? Yeah, skinny.
Great baby face, great fight, just total old school baby face. And the crowd was so behind him, I mean, really were. And they put the belt on him. And as soon as he got the belt, the crowd just turned. I mean,
it happens.
For some people, I think Ronnie Garvin as well, I think he had a little run. It's someone, they're behind the chase.
Rugged Ronnie.
Right, behind the chase, but once you get there, you kind of, arguably it's like sleeping with a really hot girl. You know what I mean? It's you enjoy the run, and then when you get there, I mean, I wouldn't know.
Right. Speaking of, I'll have to ask you the question that Rick always asks people about AJ. Would you, if she showed up in a Girl Scout outfit selling Girl Scout cookies, would you buy some from her?
Is that a euphemism?
I don't know. That's Rick always asks people that.
He's a funny guy, isn't he? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Great guy. Man who's taught me to wrestle. So
cool.
I will always be very, very grateful for him for that. So I guess then we went straight to the main event, which was, or I guess technically the second main event. You know what we didn't talk about quickly before was the first main event, Jack Swagger, I guess we didn't talk about, actually took over for Cena.
Right.
Forgot to mention that. And there was a very quick match between Swagger and Swagger and Sheamus. Which Sheamus getting the submission on him, and it was a whatever match. But and then Swagger was leaving the building. AJ said, "Where are you going? Everyone's leaving me," and he said, "I got to get out of here. This is not me." Which he's been losing a lot recently, and it seems like he's really been on a down.
It's tough, I mean, I think he was a guy that everyone had such high hopes for, because he's a big guy, has a legitimate background as well. I don't know anything about the guy, but
I think he's one that could really use going to a place like Ring of Honor or Japan and maybe getting out of the WWE for a minute, maybe, because he's been in that system since day one. He came straight out of college. I think he graduated college in 2006 or so.
Made a lot of money.
Yeah. Straight into development. He's never been anywhere else. Went right in, and I always say, with the thing for him with me is he's kind of got that amateur syndrome of the which I was an amateur wrestler as well in high school and college. And I've found this myself, the tuning out the audience and just kind of going move after move after move, and sometimes not taking the moments to breathe a little bit. And I think he kind of suffers from that a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, well, Kurt Angle is arguably an exception to the rule. I think, generally speaking, when you look at guys,
Angle was able to connect with the audience, though.
Yeah, well, it's a different pacing to it. But I talked to Angle. I remember when I first sat down with him when I first got to TNA. You know, and he was telling me that he was very lucky when he started out.
Yeah.
I mean, in his first year of being in, you know, he didn't go to developmental. We didn't put him in developmental. I mean, he had a very brief run down there in Memphis. Steve Bradley got
but I remember I read his book, and supposedly he was in a match within like a month or two.
Yeah,
like they had him.
He was up on TV. He was working with Steve Austin. He was working with The Rock. He was working with Triple H. Some of the best guys, you know, in that generation.
Yeah.
So, you know, he was very lucky in that regard, and that's not taking anything away from him.
No,
As I
definitely.
said, he was the one that told me that. But arguably, that's something that a lot of guys today don't get, that opportunity.
Right. But most people also are not Kurt Angle, and you can't. There are very few people that walk in and just get it like he did.
Yeah.
I mean, he just
Agreed.
got it
Agreed.
quickly.
Yeah.
You know, so he's an unreal talent.
Yeah.
What was that like? So you've had several matches with him, right?
Yeah.
With what was that like wrestling him?
It's good. It's great. You know, I finally felt as though all the years of hard work had paid off. You know what I mean? Like you bust your ass on the independents, you wrestle all over the world,
right?
To learn this art form, you know, to be able to go, you know what, I can do this. Yeah, I can. You know,
it's a daunting task. I mean, I'm
much
just
like Chris
starting
Jericho.
it.
You know, I just saw an interview with Chris Jericho on Wrestle Talk TV, which is a TV show which airs over in England after TNA. I did an interview with him, and he was talking about how he can do the job, whatever it is. You know, if WWE's PG, he can do that. If they decide to go back to the more of the Attitude Era, he can do that as well.
Right.
And the reason he can do that is because he learnt the job. He learned it in Mexico. He learned it in Japan.
Everywhere.
He knows how to do the friggin' job. You know what I mean? And that's what I did. I learned how to do the job. So when I got to work with Kurt Angle, I was like, that's it. Paid off. You know what I mean?
It's an incredible. Yeah. I mean, I've been training now. I just hit my 11-month the other day. It is such a you get there and it's like, oh, you know, I've been watching this for 25 years. I get it. And then you realize how you don't know anything once you start. And I'm at this point where, you know, I'm learning, but it's such a daunting task to learn everything. And you realize you never stop.
Right.
You know, you learn forever. So, so I guess then the Del Rio versus Cena main event.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of a fun match. We had we've got a phone call.
All right.
I guess before we get into the match here.
What's this one about?
I don't know. Is this who
Hook
we
him
got
up
on the phone here?
Hook him up, Marissa. Who have we got?
Now I was just listening. But you know, I gotta say, the Divas division, they need to bring back the women's title. And because, you know, they're holding the title, it doesn't do any good, you know. It seems like, as for CM Punk, you know, I don't know what's up with that. He backed away a good match between Sheamus.
Yeah, could have had a good match, but it was Labor Day. He wanted to take a day off.
Yeah.
You can't shirk him.
He's
Did you
got
work
personal
today?
days in his contract.
Did you work today,
Maria
Cole?
at? Where's Maria at?
She had a personal day as well because it's a Labor Day for her.
And I think she's personal day as well.
But she might call in.
Yeah.
So if you got any questions for Maria or not, what do you want to ask Maria?
When she gonna return back to WWE and
Okay, I'll ask her that when she calls in.
this is our friend Christian.
Awesome. It's Christian.
Righto, Christian. We'll let her know. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Christian.
If you had to choose, Christian, Eve Torres or Caitlyn, who would you sleep
that's a
with?
very good question.
Yeah.
Who would you sleep with? Eve Torres or Caitlyn? Got to choose one. Quickly. Time's ticking. You don't sleep with any of them.
I guess neither.
Sorry, girls. You'll have to find someone else. Right, so back to the main event.
Back to the main event. We had Alberto Del Rio versus John Cena in a, which I guess we didn't mention either, is
Falls Count Anywhere.
AJ made it into a Falls Count Anywhere match, which is... and here's another question I guess I have for you, which is a bit anti-old school sort of thing. What do you think about just throwing a match like that in there that's a Falls Count Anywhere match that wasn't built for like a reason of a feud?
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're trying to not pop ratings, they're trying to keep interest. You know what I mean? They don't want to have just another match. Let's make it a Falls Count Anywhere match. But unfortunately, it's very difficult because People have seen Falls Count matches everywhere. I mean, arguably, you can say there's not a whole lot you can do that they haven't seen before.
Right.
You know, you're kind of being backed into a corner.
Yeah.
You know, after the last generation of giving the fans everything you possibly can, where do you go from there? We're still seeing that, you know.
Right.
So you've got to do something. But I don't know. I mean, for personally, I've wrestled. I remember a match with Colt Cabana where you had a Soccer Riot match, and we built
Soccer Riot match?
It was brilliant. It was fantastic. You go to ROHWrestling.com. You can probably buy that thing. You know, if you're a fan of like entertaining wrestling, absolutely brilliant. We had a soccer ball. We had like people in the crowd getting involved. It was just really entertaining. He wore a Liverpool t-shirt and stuff like that. But
there was a build to them.
There was a build to it, but I'm just thinking more from a physical aspect, you know, because I think a lot of times we have a notion as fans have a notion that we're like these figures that they play with. Oh, we'll slam each other and drop on their heads and chair shot to the head, but we're all fallible. We're all human beings,
absolutely.
You know, and I think a lot of those sort of hardcore matches or matches, you know, like Falls Count Anywhere, where you have to do stuff that you wouldn't do in a normal match, can be more injurious. Right. Or sometimes they can, you know, sometimes they've got bells and whistles that you can get away with, because the number of people who've blown out knees doing leapfrogs.
Yeah.
You know, you just don't know, but they've got to do something. They've got to make it, you know, different than the norm.
Yeah.
And that's the trouble they're facing every single week.
But you throw those in and it doesn't, you know, it's just kind of thrown in there to be thrown in. We talked about that last night when, you know, you see this in the indies a lot where they'll have a ladder match to have a ladder match. Like, because we got a ladder, so let's do a ladder match. Where a ladder match should be built up to where, you know, there's a controversy where both referees count a shoulder down, and now you've got to hang the thing above the belt.
Here's the notion with building those things, though, especially on the independents where you don't have TV. Right. You've got kids who are WWE fans that come in and they want to see an entertaining show. And if they see 6 wrestling matches because you're building to a ladder match down the thing, they'll go, oh, Mum, I didn't see any ladders.
Boring.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? I mean, it's such a complex business to make money outside of WWE that a lot of the same rules don't apply. And it's a different era. It's
completely
a different business.
Yeah.
So, right.
I was surprised to see Mr. Cena throw a drop kick.
Good-looking drop kick as well.
Not bad. It timed right off the him jumping off the rope. So that's not
Cena's a great wrestler. I don't, you know. I mean,
I think he's underrated, very underrated.
Yeah, and he knows his pluses. He knows his minuses. You know, he's one of the arguably the hardest working guy.
He's just
a
workhorse.
He's constantly on the road. You know, and he has good matches
with everybody.
Pretty much everybody he works with. He's over. He sells tickets. He's
perfect. Well, he's not perfect, but you know, for them, he's perfect for that system.
He certainly works well, and I think he's going to be, you know, I think a Hall of Famer. You know?
I think if he retired today, he
has to be in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, without doubt. I wrestled him actually in the Red Barn Flea Market in Batavia, Ohio. It was about 2002. He was still in developmental at the time.
Okay, was he
prototype?
Was it post UPW?
Yeah, he was down OVW at the time. It was a tag match, and I remember locking up with him and taking an arm, and he goes, "Settle down, kid."
He said that to you?
Righto. Whatever you want, pal. So,
when did you start wrestling? What year?
99.
Okay, so you started before he did.
Roughly the same
sort of
time. Yeah, you know. But I mean, what did he know at the time? You know what I mean?
Were you, and this was in OVW? Oh, no, it wasn't an OVW.
It was HWA, actually. It was an HWA.
Oh,
show.
The Heartland
Wrestling. We had a developmental system at the time.
Okay, yeah.
WWE
that was Les Thatcher's.
Correct.
Would run that.
Yeah. We had some great shows there, actually. You know, that was back after the Invasion angle and all Mike Sanders, and a lot of those guys were down there with us, and we'd draw 600-700 people to this little flea market in Batavia, and it was great, you know. Because when you're in the independents and for a lot of people who are just WWE fans, you know, like you don't realize there's a world of wrestling outside of WWE. Yeah. And a lot of times it's very small shows. There's not that many fans, and you do it because you want to be a WWE wrestler. Right. And this is the only way to do it because, you know, if you're not a legitimate athlete, if you're not a professional bodybuilder, you know, if your dad didn't work for the company, they're not going to take you. No. You know what I mean? So you've got to earn your stripes. You've got to work your way up and do that sort of stuff.
And then hopefully get a tryout.
And a lot of times you'll you'll just basically work on these very small shows, and you know, so when you get on a show which is bigger, you know, and you actually get real reactions, then it's like, wow.
Yeah, because I'm not there yet. I'm in front of 40 people.
Right, and it's, you talk about like Jack Swagger that came right into the developmental system, and yes, he spent some time there, but very soon was then up on TV making you know, money in front of huge audiences.
Yeah,
and good for him. You can't knock him.
Yeah,
you know, I did on the same thing.
It's great, but yeah, I mean, I remember when it was a completely different era. But when I grew up in the '80s, when they brought a guy in and he was a new guy, it wasn't some guy who had been wrestling for 2 years. He'd been in for 15 years. He'd probably been a world champion already.
Sure.
You know, Kurt Hennig came into WWF. He had been AWA champion. You know, he had wrestled everywhere. I mean, he was incredibly seasoned. He'd wrestled all over the world, and he could come right into a main event. You don't really have that as much. I think you're starting to see it a little bit more now with guys like Cesaro. You know, he had been. They're starting to go in and get some of these guys who've been around the indies and wrestled all over the place, and he moved up really fast. I mean, he was in development.
But I mean, he's got a great look, and he can do the job. You know,
and he's seasoned.
Yeah, and he's seasoned, and I don't think he has the whiff of the indies as well. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? He was never a guy, I think, like a lot of guys like Punk, for example, when he came in, I remember early days, people saying like, oh God, like, you know, what is everybody seeing him? You know what I mean?
King of the indies.
Right, all that sort of shit, you know? But it's the same thing that they said about Benoit. It's the same thing they said about so many guys before they're there drawing the money.
Yeah,
you know?
We've seen that with Sandow now as well. Idol Stevens left, and he went down to Puerto Rico, and he's wrestled all over the place, and now he's getting a huge push. He's one of their big guys. Yeah,
I like him. He's a great guy.
I like him a lot as well.
Deserves it.
And just, I guess, at the end, we should say that Punk ambushed Cena in the back at the end of the show. Jumped in the car.
The best kick in the world.
Yeah. Right. And we drove off, and who was driving but Mr. Heyman.
Good, right?
Yeah, that was great. So Paul Heyman might be teaming up with CM Punk, which I love. Yeah. That combination right there.
We talked at the beginning of the show about Jerry Lawler, you know what I mean? And how his ability to connect and everything else.
Right.
And Paul Heyman, just the same. The same. Genius, you know, amazing individual.
Yeah.
Have you ever met him in real life?
I have not met him.
And that's, I think, how you can tell, you know, when someone's a superstar. When you meet him in real life, and you're just sort of kind of taken aback just by their presence, just how they carry themselves.
Yeah. And you know, as you know, someone I've been to film school and all that, I love like when movies and things come full circle a bit. And if you go back to the thing that kind of launched CM Punk, his shoot interview from last summer, or his shoot promo that he did, where he talked about Vince McMahon being dead, you know, the company would be better off when Vince McMahon's dead, that whole thing.
Right.
He talked about Paul Heyman in there, and talked about how, you know, people didn't like him because Paul Heyman saw something in him, and he's like, "That's right, I'm a Heyman guy," and went on that whole speech during that. So I kind of like that going.
That's gregreat. You know, Heyman's a great guy, one of the best promo guys in the history of the business, one of the greatest minds in the business. You know what I mean?
Paulie dangerously.
You know, I'm glad that he's back involved.
Me too.
You know, and whatever little input he's got, he's got some.
He needs to be involved in the business. It was, you know, when he was gone all those years, it's, you know,
but you know, I think he wants to be involved in the business now, because you know he can do it on his terms.
Yeah, I agree. So I guess we should take some phone calls here.
Yeah.
Now,
Eve Torres or
Caitlin or AJ.
Right. Who have we got? Identify yourself, caller.
Hello, it's Travis from Cincinnati.
Hey, Travis, how you doing?
Travis, how are you, mate?
I'm doing good. I just want to say, you know, I think Jack Swagger kind of came into the WWE, you know, a little after Kurt Angle left, to kind of be, you know, WWE's new answer to Kurt Angle leaving. Never really been a big fan of him, like the style. But I kind of glad to see him go. Maybe he'll get repackaged and come back a little better.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he needs to be repackaged a little bit, because he always did remind me a bit of that poor man's Kurt Angle.
Really?
A little bit, yeah.
I never saw that. I mean, I think it's a good point, Travis, and I think that arguably, after you've got a success like Kurt Angle, you're looking to take from the same pool.
Yeah, well, they pushed him as that All-American American,
Right.
and he had the singlet
Yeah, I
with the
suppose
same
you're right.
colors. So
Yeah,
there's,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
All-American wrestler. So it was a little bit
But
the
there
same.
was something categorically different from someone who's wrestled Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so if you had to choose, Travis, Eve Torres or Caitlyn?
Oh, I'd say Caitlyn. She's just tougher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it.
You like those big
it.
arms?
Big thighs.
Yeah.
See the size of those thighs.
my
Wrap
God.
those around your head.
Yeah. I can imagine she's something to see in the gym,
Yes.
lifting weights. I've heard people who have seen her down there. I guess she throws a lot of weight around.
Oh,
Big,
nice one.
strong girl.
All right. Thanks for the call, Travis.
Thanks, Travis.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Peace.
All right. Do we have any more phone calls?
Well, here comes another phone call.
What's that, man?
Hello. Who's
Hello?
this?
Hey, man, what's going on?
How you doing? What's your name, mate? Where you from?
My name is Nick. I'm calling from Omaha, Nebraska.
Hello,
All
Nick.
right.
How are you?
I'm pretty good, man. How are you?
Good. Not so bad. Not so bad. Do you enjoy the show tonight?
I did. I actually enjoyed a lot. Well, most of it.
Right.
There were parts of it.
Right.
What was your favorite part of the show?
You know, honestly, I think my favorite part was probably the hug it out between Kane and Daniel Bryan.
I
I enjoyed
agree.
that
There
pretty
you
thoroughly.
go. There you go. Right. Did you have a question, mate, or not? Did you have a question for Maria, or did you just want to tell us?
Yeah, you know, I'm honestly, I'm a little bit late to the show. I was wondering what you guys thought about Ryback, because I got in a little bit late. I didn't hear what your guys' opinion on Ryback was. I was wondering what you guys thought of him.
Yeah, we were talking about it was just kind of more of the same, with Ryback. It's just kind of he's been in this thing with Jinder Mahal, and it's been these somewhat non-competitive matches for how many months? He's kind of getting the Goldberg build-up.
I mean, Ryberg, he's a guy who's been around. I called him Ryberg, didn't I? There you go.
Yeah.
He's
Skip
been around for a
Sheffield.
long, long time. He's been down in developmental for arguably on and off for, 5-10 years?
Yeah, for a while,
long,
yeah.
long time. Sort of a contemporary of the guys like Ryder and Slater, a lot of those sort of guys who genuinely loved the business.
Yeah.
Genuinely loves the business and busted his ass to get in the best shape he possibly can. Dean the Dream Jablonski was the same sort of guy who was down in developmental for
Okay, I
a
don't know
time
him.
period. Yeah, big, jacked up sort of guy, and there's a space for everybody in the business.
Right.
And there's certainly a space for him. He's a guy that when you turn your TV on, you go, wow, look
Yeah.
at the size of him, you know what I mean? And then the creative people have got to decide what to do with him.
Yeah,
you know?
and they need to do something with him right
Right.
now.
You
And
just- you just gotta-
the fans are really behind it. That feed me more. Did you hear
Yeah.
how loud that is? I mean,
Yeah.
they're getting behind that.
I mean, what's wrong with him beating people?
No, yeah.
Straight away.
Yeah.
Straight away.
Well, you know what? They were going into the whole before he was beating up one jobber and then two. They're having the jobber matches and beat up two jobbers every night. I was like, add 3. Let's have him beat up 3 guys now. Then bring 4. Let's see how many guys he can beat up at once. Just keep increasing it.
But
at
yeah,
least.
I mean that's the thing. It depends on their idea, I mean,
Yeah.
Goldberg, and not to take anything away from Ryback, but I think Goldberg had something that Ryback doesn't.
Yeah.
Whatever
yeah.
it is, it's that something.
But my question is too is all right, you've got Ryback, you're building him up like Goldberg. Once he loses, like once Goldberg lost, he was just another normal guy, and you lost that kind of special.
Somewhat, yeah.
Somewhat, not fully, but could he have that same type of thing?
I don't know.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, hey, thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
No problem, man.
Okay.
I'm happy to call. I'm glad I finally caught the show, dude. I've been so late on it. Like, I never catch the show, and I'm so happy I finally caught it.
No worries.
Awesome.
Tell
You
your
guys are doing a
friends.
great job.
Appreciate it.
Great. Thanks for calling.
Go to iTunes.
Right on. All right, man.
Do we have another caller?
There we
I
are.
guess another one.
One more caller.
All right, one more.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Dan from Dallas. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, there we are. I'm sorry. What's your name?
Dan from Dallas.
Hey, Dan. How's it going? From Dallas,
Good.
Texas.
Love the TV show.
Are you watching
It's
the new one?
No, you watch the old one.
Oh yeah, they've got. I haven't watched it, but I hear it's great.
How you doing, Dan?
It's going well. Before I get to my comment, I just want to say, Nigel, I am one of your Kickstarter supporters. I did donate $50.
Wonderful.
I was one of those people that made, get your, $30 grand in, almost a week.
So
That's
you want
it.
to be
Few
sure.
days. Thank
had
you.
it for like 30 days, and got it like about maybe 8 days. So.
I got it in 3 days. That's it. Thanks ever so much, Dan. I appreciate it. I'm working hard on the documentary. That's why I'm out here in Los Angeles. I'm going to get it done as soon as I can. As soon as I get it done, you know, you'll be one of the first to see it. So thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. Only thing I want to get talk about like one of those little things I see.
Mm-hmm.
Like during the tag match early on the night with Sin Cara Mysterio.
Yeah.
You see when the ref told Mysterio you have to be inside the ring to get the tags. That's one of the things I enjoy. Those little things. Like even though the wrestlers are performing as well, the refs in the ring, they also have to perform to their standards as well as commanding the rules. So.
Absolutely.
That's one of the things I like, the little things during a match.
Sure. That
good referee is incredibly important to a wrestling match.
That can add a lot to it. You know, I think if you're an actor, a lot of times it's the little things that make the whole scene work. You take a look at a De Niro or someone like that.
Yeah,
they would tell you that.
Like a Todd Sinclair, when he refereed y'all's match with like you or with Dragon, the little things he did, making sure that he broke the ropes or if you're overpounding him, he will push you away from the ring. So one of those things that is always good to watch.
Yeah. Todd's a great referee. Yeah.
And I think that's what the WWE is a lot of times looking for, too, is the guys who do those little things, not just who can do the most shooting star presses and 450 splashes.
Who knows? I think they change their mind week after week what they're looking for.
That is very, very true. Well, hey, thanks for calling in.
Dan, take care, y'all.
Awesome.
Cheers, appreciate it, man.
Well, I guess we need to wrap this up a little bit here.
We do.
I guess we've just flown through. Do you have anything coming up?
Got plenty of things coming up. Yeah, I'm going to be shooting something here in LA that's kind of under the blanket at the moment. But as I said, Ring of Honor TV, go to RHWrestling.com to watch it. And September 15th, Chicago, Illinois, pay-per-view. Tune in and see it.
Awesome. And if you can go to my YouTube channel, it's YouTube.com/Ryan Clum, RYANCLUM. I have a couple matches up there that I have done recently. Also, you can see me. I will be wrestling for Millennium Pro Wrestling on next Saturday, September 8th, and then Dungeon Championship Wrestling here in LA in Huntington Park on the 9th, the very following day. So,
rock and roll. Go to iTunes, like us.
Yes, like us, and I guess
Maria will be back.
She will be back, and I think we will as well at some point.
Ah, yes.
Oh, there you go.
Anyway,
hopefully you guys enjoyed the show Sans Maria. We enjoy doing it. So, thank you, everyone.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.